Hey, how's it going everybody? It's Tanner here, and welcome back to a new Ninjago discussion video here on the channel. In today's video, we're actually going to be talking about a video that was made by another YouTuber. They are not a Ninjago YouTuber or anything like that. They simply do, I believe, just cartoon videos from what I can tell. I have not really heard of these guys before, but this video comes from a channel called Just Stop, and he did a collaboration with another YouTuber called LS Mark. And again, I have not heard of these guys prior to making this video. I have not seen anything that these guys do. A lot of you guys just sent me this video because you wanted me to go ahead and react to it, and I figured I would. They basically made a video talking about how Ninjago isn't really that great of a show. Now again, I'm not going to go ahead and rant on this video. I'm not going to go ahead and do that in the slightest. I don't feel like this video deserves to be hated on necessarily. I just feel like there are some points made that should be talked about and that should be countered. I'm not trying to start any sort of drama or anything like that with these YouTubers. They seem like fine people, so please do not send them hate. If you want to go ahead and check out this video, the link will be in the description. You can go ahead and watch it and perhaps leave a comment talking about what you think, but blind hatred pretty much helps nobody, so please don't do that. And at the end of the day, it's just their opinion anyway, so there's really no reason to get bent out of shape about that. But I figured I'd go ahead and talk about some stuff here that they mentioned in the video. I will be playing clips from their video, and then I will be, I guess, providing a little bit of a rebuttal. I'm not going to go ahead and cover, I guess, every single point that they make in this video, because I feel like that would be kind of a waste of time, and I don't really want to, I guess, stretch out this video for too long. So let's go ahead and just talk about some stuff that happens. First things first though, some ground rules. Again, it is just their own opinion. That's fine. I'm not saying that they have to like this show. It's just their opinion, so I really don't think it's that big of a deal. Also, the video only covers season 1 and season 11 for some reason, which means that they are missing several seasons and several bits of context in between there. They do treat season 11 like it's season 2 for some reason, but I feel like that's just a joke. And overall, just the video just seems like just satire in general. So again, really nothing too big to point out here. However, there were some points that were made. Again, we're not going to cover every point, but let's go ahead and start talking about some of the first ones. Again, we will play a clip and then I will give my rebuttal. So let's go ahead and get started with the first point that they make.
The elements are fire, ice, earth, and lightning. Ice is just a frozen version of water, right?
Yes.
And the ice ninja has control over that?
Correct.
So he's controlling a form of water.
Makes sense to me.
Then shouldn't he be able to control water as well?
No, silly, because...
So one of the first points that they talk about that I do want to cover are the, I guess, topics of Zane's ice powers. Now, yes, ice is another form of water. It is just a frozen form of water. However, they do explain in later seasons why Zane can control ice and not water, and they do kind of toy with that idea. They do establish which elements are what. Again, this is just kind of, I guess, the weakness of skipping over several seasons and just jumping straight from season 1 to season 11. You're going to go ahead and miss that context in between there, and a lot of the points that I do have to make about their points do kind of reference that fact that they kind of just skipped out on context. And I don't feel like everything needs to be established in season 1 for it to be, I guess, necessarily, you know, a good establishing point and a good reason. There really doesn't need to be anything established. Season 1 does not need to drop everything. It could be expanded in future seasons. And they eventually do explain why Zane's ice powers are his ice powers and why he cannot control water. They're just simply two separate elements. So again, I feel like missing a lot of that context will actually provide a little bit of weakness when watching the series. But overall, it's not that big of a deal again.
The characters hold up the series with their personalities, don't they?
Not really. All I can remember was Kyle leads, Jed does machines, Cole is cool but rude, they're all sort of party dudes, and Zane almost has no personality. That sound familiar to any other teenage ninja group you've heard of?
Let me think here. They all wear nearly identical clothing and can only really be distinguished from their color and weapon. They have the specific set of character traits. Their master is a father-like figure whose brother turns out to be the group's biggest enemy. They have a female friend/relative who hangs out with them. And...
It's TMNT, you idiot.
Jesus, man.
Alright, so this next point is kind of interesting. They basically make the point that Ninjago is kind of ripping off Ninja Turtles, which let me just point out right away, I have not really seen any sort of Ninja Turtles. I'm familiar with who they are, and I know of the 4 Ninja Turtles, but the only thing I've seen is that one Michael Bay movie, so I can't really be too invested in that to go ahead and, I guess, make that point or kind of debunk that point. But just because they have some types of similarities doesn't mean that it's a complete ripoff of that. They do try to stretch some points here. They try to say that Kai and, for example, Leonardo are the same since they're both leaders, even though Kai isn't the ninja leader. It's actually Cole and then Lloyd, but, you know, that's just a point for another day, I guess. It really isn't that big of a deal. They try to say that Jay and Donatello are the same because they both do machines, so, you know, Jay does inventions, you know, and then they try to say that Cole and Raphael are the same person, even though they're pretty much the exact opposite of one another. And they also try to say that, you know, they both have a sensei, so, you know, obviously they're ripping each other off, or Ninjago's ripping off Ninja Turtles, and Nia is there, and she's kind of like the female sidekick. But, you know, I don't really see this point, honestly. Again, just because there are some similarities that they might point out doesn't mean that Ninjago kind of ripped off Ninja Turtles in any way. I never got that sense, and maybe that's just because I never grew up with Ninja Turtles, but even knowing about them now, I can definitely see where Ninjago kind of steps away from that, and in my opinion, builds off of that a little bit more. It's just a simple concept, so I don't really feel like this needs to be explored that much. It's really just not that big of a deal.
Mentioned they get Lloyd to turn to the good side way too easily. You're telling me this kid who wanted to cause destruction and was raised by evil incarnate himself just needed to be read a bedtime story about why snakes are bad to turn him over? That's the dumbest cop-out I've ever heard. He doesn't even take long to stop doing anything bad. He just goes over and is perfectly content with it after pulling a few pranks.
Next up, they make this weird point that Lloyd kind of, I guess, transitioned to the good side way too easily. Now, this point kind of, I guess, irritated me a little bit, I'm going to be honest with you, because they do explain that Lloyd wasn't always evil. In fact, he was never evil in the slightest. He was just always good. There's a reason why he got kicked out of his boarding school. It's because he was not evil enough to be there. He was always trying to be the son of Lord Garmadon because that's what he felt he needed to be, but his character grows away from that eventually. Lloyd isn't evil by default. He was never evil in the first place, and he just did pranks because that's all that he could pull off. In reality, Lloyd's destiny was always just kind of set in stone for him, and that's why he could never fully transition to the evil side like his father did. So I feel like this point is a little bit not really needed because, again, Lloyd was never evil in the first place. He just kind of acted like he was, and they do explain that in future seasons as well. So a lot of the stuff in season 1 really doesn't cover it. There are a few instances where they do reference how Lloyd was kicked out of this boarding school because he wasn't evil enough, and when you actually look into his character, that's something that is kind of prevalent there. He was never evil in the first place, and his good intentions were always there. He just didn't really know it yet. And I feel like, in general, a lot of the points in this video, again, do kind of poke at the fact that the writing is not very good and the characters aren't really well written, but in my opinion, that sounds like a pretty interesting character. Lloyd trying to be evil to impress his father, when in reality he's just not evil because fate has something else in store for him. I don't really see how you can just say that that's not a good character. In my opinion, that's probably one of the better character traits that we've seen from Ninjago, but again, it's not really that big of a concern.
That makes as much sense as creating a show about Lego characters yet never doing anything with the fact that they're made out of Legos. Oh, wait.
Oh yeah, why the hell are they Lego to begin with? What's the story aspect that's affected from them being Lego? How are situations different because they are Lego?
Marketing! But for real, it's not like the world they live in is even made out of Lego either, because that would require a budget.
The next point here that I do want to cover is that they do talk about how, I guess, since the show is a Lego show, the show doesn't really do anything with the fact that the ninja and everybody else in this show, all the characters are made out of Lego. And I do agree with that. However, it is something that you can easily forget about as you're watching this show. When you're watching something like the Lego movie, yeah, all the environment is Lego and that's really cool, and in reality, there is no reason for the actual Ninjago show to have all the characters be Lego other than the fact that it is a Lego property, therefore it pretty much has to be. None of the environment is Lego, and again, that does kind of bother some people, but in my opinion, it really isn't that big of a deal. Again, it's just like a lot of things that are covered in this video aren't really that necessary to cover. I feel like, for the most part, a lot of the points that they make are just kind of nitpicking, and in reality, there's really nothing else going on here other than that. I mean, yeah, some stuff like the action can be a little, I guess, wooden just because the characters are made out of Lego, but again, it's easily forgettable when you're watching the show, and I don't feel like the show would have changed at all if the characters wouldn't have been Lego. If they would have just been regular CGI human models, I doubt the show would have changed at all.
Room to be creative here, you just aren't doing it.
And this could have worked, it really could have, if the show wasn't so hellbent on being this serious, edgy action show. If it were a comedy, I think embracing the strangeness of the concept could have been hilarious.
That's true. There's a scene where one of the serpents loses their staff and snake-like body to someone else, and they just magically lose the bottom half, which turns into legs. Looking at the model itself, the snake part cuts off the leg part, so the writers could include a scene where other snakes just rip off his bottom half and give it to the new guy, but no, not serious enough.
This really isn't that big of a point, but Ninjago wasn't really always trying to be a serious, edgy show. I just feel like it is a mix of a comedy and an action cartoon. There's really nothing else to that. There are darker seasons in Ninjago, such as season 5 and 6 and even 8 and 9, but season 1 isn't really trying to be as edgy as future seasons are. I feel like season 1 is kind of one of the, I guess, beginning points of the series. Obviously, it is season 1. It's going to be a little weaker than other seasons out there, and I don't feel like Ninjago is trying to be overly edgy in the slightest.
This is even dumber than I expected. What happened to everyone?
Wait a second. This isn't season 2. Where did I put the... I'm sure he won't notice.
What's with this weird time skip? Lloyd's all grown up, Naya's a ninja, and they have some robot that isn't Zian?
Oh, well, I guess you just don't understand the complexities of Lego Ninjago, Mark. Yeah, that's the issue.
I guess the show is more complex than I thought. Oh wait, no it isn't.
And now they jump into season 11, and yeah, season 11 does follow a lot of the same tropes as season 1, but there are a lot of instances in the video where they do kind of get confused on things. Well, it's because they're missing several seasons of context here, and I feel like they just did this as a joke, just to show how season 1 and season 11 are really similar, and yeah, they are. Season 11 in the Ninjago community is one of the, I guess, most despised seasons out there. It's not really that great. Season 12 is airing right now, and season 12 is fantastic, but season 11 is very, very weak, and season 1 is also a very weak season, so you're just comparing, I guess, two weaker Ninjago seasons to each other, and you're missing a lot of the overall context of the series and what it could actually be and what it has been for several years. And I feel like if they were to have seen the entire series front to back, then maybe their opinions would have been skewed just a little bit, and maybe I could accept their points a little bit more, but the fact is they only covered season 1 and season 11 for whatever reason and treated it like it was season 2. Again, most likely just as a joke, and again, I'm not really faulting them for that. I don't think they're stupid and they think that season 11 genuinely is season 2. I feel like that's just a joke on their part, but overall they chose to just cover the weaker seasons, and I guess we're wrapping up the video here and my response on it. So essentially, again, they only covered the weaker seasons, and it would have been a lot better if they watched the entire series, and I feel like their opinion of it being, I guess, a soulless cash grab would have been, I guess, changed a little bit as well, because when you think about it, everything that has, you know, some type of merchandise tie-in and every cartoon that's made to sell toys is essentially a soulless cash grab. However, some of those gems do have, of course, souls, such as Ninjago, in my opinion. Some of the Transformers series are really good, and I'm sure some of the Ninja Turtles series are really good as well, but it just kind of seems like their points weren't all the way there sometimes, and I don't feel like Ninjago is a soulless cash grab by any means. Again, the show is made in response to the figures and the sets and all that kind of stuff, but again, I don't feel like it's soulless. Ninjago's grown to be much more than what it used to be way back in the day, and I feel like, again, if they watched all of the seasons back to back, then maybe their senses would have been changed a little bit. But just overall, the video, I don't think it's meant to be serious. I think they were just kind of joking around with this video. It seemed to me like they were just trying to create a sarcastic bit of satire for Ninjago fans to, I guess, kind of latch onto. They did mention how the fan base is quite large and, you know, quite expressive and vocal, which, again, we are. We're a pretty, I guess, large and expansive community, but again, I don't feel like this video is trying to be anything too serious. I feel like they were just trying to be passive-aggressive in order to try to start some type of war, or maybe to, I guess, trigger some Ninjago fans, some diehard Ninjago fans, and I don't feel like we need to be offended by this video. Again, at the end of the day, it's just all their opinion, and no matter what I say in this video, their opinions may not change, and that's fine by me. I'm not saying that they have to, I guess, like the show as much as we do. However, I just felt like some points really weren't all that great, and I felt the need to go ahead and make some type of response video about this. Again, not trying to start any sort of drama, and I hope you guys did enjoy watching this, I guess, breakdown of their video. If you wanted to check out the original video, the link will be down below in the description. Go ahead and check them out if you would like to. Again, I haven't really seen a lot of their content, and if you're going to go ahead and leave a comment, please be civil about it. Don't be, I guess, hateful towards them, because again, I don't feel like we need to be spreading hate at all. I just feel like this video overall was just an interesting opportunity for me to go ahead and discuss some of these points, and that's all I was simply trying to do. Not trying to offend anybody, not trying to start anything, just trying to, I guess, create a discussion. So thank you so much for watching this video, guys. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and check out the links down below in the description for my other forms of social media. As always, big shout out goes out to my Patreon supporters YouTubers, including once again the Marvelous Jan. Thank you guys so much for watching this video once again. My name is TannerFishies, and with that I bid you farewell.